The views and opinions expressed on This Can't Be Adulting are solely those of the host and do not represent or reflect the views of any individual, organization, employer, or entity we may be affiliated with. The content of this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Listener discretion is advised. Yo, welcome to This Can't Be Adulting, the podcast where two guys who probably should have it all figured out absolutely don't.
Careers, money, relationships. No one handed us a manual, so we're figuring it out the only way we know how, with real talk, deep dives, and a whole lot of laughs.
I'm Herb.
And I'm Derek. And if you're out here wondering, am I doing this right? Trust us, you're not alone.
So hit play, relax, and let's figure this out together. Welcome back to episode 8 of This Can't Be Adulting.
Drinking a beer right now, baby, for episode 8. No, I'm kidding. It's a monster.
Basically like a beer for you. Basically.
It's basically like a beer for me.
I don't think I've ever seen you drink an energy drink before.
Never?
I don't think so.
I love Monsters. I love Monsters, but I don't drink them often because they're just not good for you.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I mean, I've been up since 5 a.m. today, and so, which isn't rare. That's like what I normally do during the week. But I'm actually doing it on Saturdays now, too, with the whole gym and shit. It's just this whole thing. Anyway, so I was tired, so I told Herb to drop by when he was on his way here to drop off a Monster for me, man.
Look at that. Look at that. Friends helping friends over here. And as you can see, we have Choco with us today. She wanted to make an appearance.
We really need to consider putting her on the picture art for us on the logo, man. We're going to have a little picture of Choco in there.
This is what this is all about.
This is what it's all about, dog.
You want to get recognition. Okay, fine enough. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
But Herb, what's good, bro? How we been, man?
Man, it's good. You know, it's always good to have another episode. It's always good to get back with the people.
Episode 8.
Episode 8. I feel like we're going through it so fast. I say that every single time, though.
Yeah. Hey, we're having a good time, though. I hope y'all are having a good time as well.
Absolutely. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe. We see it all. We're happy. We welcome it all. Definitely.
From last episode, I decided to wear longer shorts because I was telling her, man, if I had a vagina, on that last episode, you'd be able to see it all. That shit was wild, man.
I was looking like glow.
Yeah, it looked like I was wearing a fucking tanga, a thong, bro. It was crazy.
Is that what it's called? Tanga?
A tanga in Spanish, una tanguita.
As you guys know from the last episode, I'm working on my Spanish.
Dora the Explorer Spanish over here. So I'm gonna wear longer shorts. I'm gonna wear jeans. It's. I'm just trying to be comfortable. You know what I mean? We out here in the studio just trying to be comfortable. But I can't be that comfortable with y'all. Know what I mean?
Yeah, but all right. As you guys can see, we welcome any of the feedback that we get. It's so funny that like, hey Derek, them shorts.
Yeah, them shorts. That's the feedback. We got a text message about it. I said, "You right." They were like, I had to cover my virgin eyes. I said, "You right." It's all good. It's about the content. All right. Don't be looking at my body like that. You know what I'm saying?
Body shaming you.
Why are you slut shaming me, man?
Oh no! Don't do my guy. Don't do my guy like that.
Yeah,
okay.
Not like that.
Well, Derek, I would say on episode 8, you know, we did have something in mind.
We did.
We had a topic in mind. However, you know, there was an incident that happened over the course of the last week. And I think it's important. We decided to call an audible here to kind of let you address the incident and kind of speak on it, as this is our platform here.
Yeah.
And we always like to keep it real and bring something that's real life lessons that happen to us in the world. So without further ado, we will get into the rest of the episode at the end, but I'll let you kind of just speak on as much as you want, as less as you want, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So it's an incident that Herb actually wanted to pull the audible and talk about it. Not that I don't want to talk about it, because I do, because I don't have social media platforms like that. All I have is YouTube with this podcast with us. Because the topic I want to talk about is a huge topic in this country right now that is very taboo, and we're getting gaslit. However, with that said, before we jump into it,
I'm glad you
some housekeeping items.
That is
real
cool.
Quick before we forget.
Yes.
Herb and I don't think if any of y'all, if y'all know me close enough, y'all know that I care a lot about giving back to the community in some way, shape, or form. Yes. So I've been volunteering for nonprofits for about 6 years now. Also, one thing that I'm going to work on is my filler words. I caught myself in last episode saying way too much. So I'm going to try. All right? I'm going to try. I'm trying to get better as a podcaster over here. So I do volunteer for this nonprofit called Creative Action. We had a charity event last week, Memorial Day weekend, that was actually put on by my Manchester United supporters fan club. Very interesting. We put on this charity where we did a casino night, got a venue that was actually gifted to us, if for lack of a better word, by one of the members who is part of the supporters club for Manchester United Don't at me about Manchester United. I know we trash. I get that. But it was a really cool event because Herb came through, supported. I really appreciated him. We got to do a casino night.
Yeah.
We sat at the blackjack table. We sat at the craps table. You were at the craps table. I never played craps. I still haven't learned. But it was a real low-pressure way to learn how to actual gamble because I'm not a gambler. I've been in a casino before. I know how to play blackjack super easy. But Texas Hold'em is what we were playing.
That's what y'all were playing.
Yeah, poker. The poker. That was super fun.
Yeah.
Had a super good time. So big shout-outs to Herb and all my friends who showed up. Thank you very much. You supported it. Now, it was our first year doing a charity event. I was able to finagle our supporters club to choose my nonprofit, which is called Creative Action. When I say mine, I just mean the nonprofit that I volunteer in. I'm actually on the board. I'm the board treasurer. This is my 4th year, going into my 5th year, near and dear. It's an arts-based education nonprofit that aims to provide arts-based education to children in school program, out-of-school program, after-school program, and also in camps. And what we try to do, or what they try to do, is use the arts as a medium to teach leadership skills, communication skills, conflict resolution skills, all these things that our children need, and also get them out of the house and interacting with each other. It's some really, really, really cool stuff. I know I fell in love with the organization when I got to go to one of the programming, and it was a high school that they were putting on creating their own screenplay in movies.
Okay.
And one of the girls volunteered to speak about what she was talking about, and she was talking about a story that she wrote, a movie that she wrote about a female, wanted to come out to her friend and didn't know how to come out to her friend. And at the end of it, they both ended up coming out to each other. And it struck me because I asked her, I said, wow, that's really cool. Where did I get inspiration from? She was like, this is my real life. And I feel like if it wasn't for this nonprofit, or if nonprofits like this, allowing this young girl, young scholar to have that space to write about this, that platform and that confidence, she may have never come out, or at least not as soon as she did and feel so confident about it. So anyways, my point is that it does a lot of great work. So we did a charity event about it. But like I was saying, unfortunately, because it was our first time doing it, we actually broke even. So there was actually no money that went to Creative Action. We didn't have enough people show up. It was very last minute. We ended up booking it over Memorial Day weekend where people were traveling. But it was the thought that counts. Absolutely. I think maybe we're going to get like $100. But we had a good time.
I definitely had a good time.
We had a great time. And we're going to put the website here, creativeaction.org. We'll put it right here. If y'all go want to check out the website, feel free to donate. It's been really hard for nonprofits.
I can understand that. And I'll say that, part of my experience there was, I won me a nice little watch. So you guys see the red over here. Yeah.
There was a raffle.
Check me out.
There was a raffle for a bunch of prizes, and Herb ended up getting a watch, a Manchester United watch for that matter. So now he's officially a fan, and he's got to be there all next year. That's what our club president said. So
we'll get back to that.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
But no, I think that is important that you definitely went over that, because that was a great event that we went to. Had a lot of fun, like you said. But again, I know you are heavily with more importantly with the nonprofit that you're involved in, and like I said, we'll link it as well. But I think it's it goes back to just kind of, that's something that's admirable. Like it's cool that you get involved like that and give back, and I think that's a great thing that you get to do.
Yeah, and like I said, nonprofits are really taking a big hit, especially in Texas, but just all over the country, particularly with this new regime that we have in there. I'm not going to call them an administration because they're not. They're being a fascist regime. But there's some things that we've had to do as nonprofits so that we don't leave our nonprofit status. Like, we were told that the regime signed up for a government email address, signed on to a bunch of nonprofits newsletters to look for the word DEI in any of their mission statements or any of the descriptions on their websites. And if there was on there, they would get their 501c nonprofit status pulled.
That's crazy.
This is nuts, the world we're living in. My point is not just that economically. Yeah. The economy is shrinking. People don't have buyer confidence, so people just aren't donating to nonprofits. So it's very important. If you guys have the heart or find the mission admirable in some way, shape, or form, please feel free to go donate. If not, no worries. It's honestly it's whoever can. I would never make anyone feel bad that if you can't. So it is what it is. But yeah, just a little tidbit there.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks. Like I said, it's a great that you get involved and give back to the community. I think, like I said, it's especially like you say in this economy. So it's good to hear that.
I appreciate that.
As we kind of transition and kind of jump into got a little ahead of ourselves. Jump into the topics of the episode today, or the theme of the episode today. Again, there was an incident that you kind of experienced over the last week. wanted to give you the opportunity on the platform to kind of speak to it as much as you like, comfortable, and we'll see. We'll go from there with the episode.
I do want to make this more of a, bounce commentary back and forth as opposed to me just storytelling, because this is just a broader discussion about certain events that are going on in the world today. And to without sugarcoating, I'm talking about particularly the Israeli-Palestine conflict. It's not even a conflict. I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's a genocide that's going on in Gaza right now. I stand very strong behind that based off of all the evidence that's been out there, based off of the United Nations, the ICC, International Criminal Court of Criminals, criminal courts, the ICJ, International Court of Justice, all labeling it a genocide. And we live in a world now, particularly in the United States, where if you call that a genocide, or if you say free Palestine, or that you're pro-Palestine, you get labeled as anti-Semitic. Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely terrifying, because that's not what this is about. Mm-hmm. Saying pro-Palestine or free Palestine has nothing to do with saying that you're anti-Jewish.
Right.
And it's disrespectful to the Jewish community to conflate the two. Mm-hmm. More so, it's disrespectful to conflate the country of Israel with Judaism. It's two different things. And I'll break it down a little bit like this. Our country, the United States of America, has done terrible things across the world. Imperialism, all across the world. We stick our grubby hands in every single place of the world. But that is our country and our government. That's not me. That's not you. Now, granted, a lot of us do support that stuff, and a lot of us do vote that in, but that's not everyone. So please don't conflate me, an American, with my government, because it's not the same. And so that's how I feel about kind of Israel, the state of Israel, and Jewish people. And I want to tread very cautiously, because I know this is a very touchy subject, and I understand that. But I don't want to be quiet about this right now. So what Herb is essentially alluding to, the incident that happened to me, is I have a buddy of mine out here who is a member of a very exclusive bar club called Soho House. If you guys haven't heard about Soho House, it's all over the world. Mm-hmm. They got locations in every major city. You got to pay a membership fee annually to be able to get in. A buddy of mine invited me to Soho House. I would never be a member of it. To be honest with you, I find it very pretentious in a lot of ways. But I've been once or twice, and it's cool to go once in a while.
I must be a pretentious. I ain't gonna lie. I looked at memberships before, but we digress. Keep going.
Have you ever been?
No.
So you don't. But I bet you if you go, you'll be like, you'd have a good time. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's cool to go once or twice. Yeah. I get that, but there's just a level of the couple of times that I've been where I was like, I don't know if I could fuck with these people like that. Okay. But regardless, I got invited, and you go for free, and I said, bet, I'll go. So I ended up pulling through. Well, full disclosure, I had been drinking all day.
Keep it real.
No story starts good when it says there. No, I had been drinking all day, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Everyone's having a good time, and I don't even remember how the conversation happened when I got to Soho House, and we happened to come across this conversation of Israel and Palestine. And I stood up. I didn't even stand up. I just said, you know what? I'm very pro-Palestine. So free Palestine. And I said it quite loudly. Mm-hmm. And my friend and the people that we were with kind of looked at me bewildered, like, dog, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing? And they were like, chill. This is not the place or the time. Now, this could be true in a lot of instances. I get it. Not the place or the time. But what does that really mean? I just feel like that's a way to be like, hey, that's an unpopular thing that you're saying, so please stop saying that. And I said, in my liquid couragey self, I was like, I'm not saying anything wrong. Free Palestine. My friend got really embarrassed, jumped up. Go ahead.
The people that you were with, what were their ethnicity?
It was a white girl. It was a Dominican girl. And my friend is Egyptian.
Okay.
So it wasn't like it was anything like... And they all were very shocked. And when my buddy jumped up, it was like, yo, what are you doing? I got very defensive, and I was like, you're not going to tell me what I can or can't say. So now, because you're telling me to not say these things, I'm going to say it even louder. So I started yelling, free Palestine, stood up in the middle of this club. Now, maybe I look like just some drunk guy hollering and hooting, but I got escorted out. I got kicked out of the actual establishment. And the bouncers were coming to grab me, and I was like, y'all don't need to touch me. I'm going to walk out. Don't worry about it. I get it. I'm going to get out of here. I understand. And as I was walking out, one of the bartenders came across around the bar. He was like, yo. And I look back, I'm like, what's good? He was like, yo, thank you for saying that, man. I've been wanting to say that for a very long time, but I can't hear. Interesting. You can't say free Palestine, right? Was it too political? I mean, I don't see nothing political about a genocide happening. Let's just call it a spade a spade. People who say that shit's political is because they're too afraid to confront the reality of what's going on.
Yeah.
That's just a way to try to shut people up. There's nothing political about it.
Yeah.
You're genociding a whole ethnicity, a whole religion, the Muslims, the Palestinians. And so I walk downstairs, and there's always a front desk that you have to check in because it's members only.
Yep.
And the word had already gotten downstairs. And so the girl at the front desk was like, yo, I heard you got kicked out for yelling Free Palestine. I was like, damn right, I did, all proud of myself. But hell yeah. She was like, oh, that's dope. That's what's up. I've been wanting to say that. So my whole point is that there's a group, there's a majority, I want to say, of people in this country that want to say that want to stand up, but are being so gaslit by liberals and, conservatives and liberals. Like, this isn't even a conservative. There's a lot of people that are pro-Israel. And what that really is that means it's pro-Zionist, right? And so Zionist is, and we're going to look up the actual true definition. I probably won't be able to define it very eloquently, but it's people who believe Jewish people have the right to their own theocracy. So theocracy is a country solely based on your religion. And on the surface, you're like, well, there's a bunch of Muslim countries. Technically, we're a Christian country, but we don't kick people out. Let me say that like we don't kick people out for that necessarily. No one's being ethnic cleansed, as opposed to what's happening in Israel right now. So the Zionists are the ones that are saying, yes, let's go kill these Palestinians, get them off of our land. They shouldn't be here. Meanwhile, the Palestinian people have been there for hundreds and thousands of years. And people are going to argue that, saying, no, but it was this and this. But like, that's just the reality of it, right? So Zionism is a view. Zionism isn't a race. Zionism isn't a religion. Zionism is a belief that Jewish people have the right to the entire state of Israel and no one else can be there. And so in that sense, I'm anti-Zionist. And mind you, there are a lot of Jewish people that do not believe in what's going on. Look up Jewish Voice of Peace, I want to say. One of the organizations, huge Jewish organization that's been responsible for a lot of the Free Palestine and pro-Palestine movements here in the United States. It's a whole bunch of Jewish members that put this together that are completely against this. They're like, don't do this in our name. Like, this is not looking good for Israel, and it's making Jewish people less safe.
Yeah. Right?
Because now, and I don't believe this is right either, don't conflate all Jewish people with what's going on in Israel. That's not right either.
Right.
Like, that is anti-Semitic. Don't do that. So anyways, that's my point, is like a lot of people are being silenced. And I've been terrified for a while to say anything because people are getting fired from their jobs if they say anything. People are getting blackballed. People are getting canceled, like legit canceled, because the Israeli PAC, Political Action Committee, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, AIPAC, has a lot of money in this country. And they're paying a lot of congressmen and politicians to be pro-Israel, to continue sending money to Israel to completely bomb the Palestinian people off the face of this earth. And it's horrendous, and it's terrifying. Let me pause there. What are your thoughts?
Couple things. Just in that, how do you think we got to this place then, where it seems as an anti-Semitic statement to say Free Palestine?
I can give you my opinion, but this is by no means like the fact of it. The state of Israel was created in 1948. So what happened around that time?
Right, coming out of what, World War?
World War II. What was the reason for World War II?
Yeah, I mean, Hitler kind of went...
The Holocaust on the Jewish people, which was one of the worst things that's ever happened in humanity.
Right.
We're talking about 6-7 million Jewish people killed, I believe, or something like that. Like, that's horrendous. That was a genocide.
Yes.
That was another genocide. And so the United States, along with several other countries in Europe, said, Jewish people, we want to give you your own state in the Middle East. So in 1948, they went and they carved out Israel, and they said, this now belongs to the Jewish people, without any regard to who was already living there.
Right.
Palestinians, Muslim people. And now, and again, this is more history from what I've gathered and researched. I'm not saying I'm a historian or an expert on all this. But a lot of the reason why the United States wanted to do that was, yes, there's a bit of guilt because of what happened to Jewish people, because that's horrible. And Jewish people had, a lot of people, Jewish people had nowhere to go after World War II. So I understand the sentiment of let's give you a place to go. Yeah. But it was deeper than that, particularly from the United States of America, because the United States of America had a lot of interest in the Middle East. What was that interest? Oil, energy. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to have their own, we'll call it a proxy country there, that could be an ally to them. Mm-hmm. And so they took this as an opportunity to say, to kill two birds with one stone. We're going to put the Jewish people here. We're going to relocate them here. And we're going to have a state that now is going to be beholden to us. And it's going to keep their ears out and their eyes out and control as much as they can control in the Middle East because we have some interest in there. And that's how this whole thing has pretty much divulged without any thoughts of the people that actually lived on that land. And so as time has gone on, if anyone ever questions what Israel does in this land that was given to them, to the state of Israel, the Holy Land, give it to them, and how they treat the people that were already living there, they automatically yell anti-Semitism because anti-Semitism is real. It's a real thing, and it's rampant, and it's not something to take lightly. And so I believe that because of what happened in the Holocaust and because there still is so much anti-Semitism in the world, countries and people want to tread cautiously. And so they automatically conflate the state of Israel with Jewish people. So if you criticize the government of Israel, that means you're anti-Semitic because they're both two and the same. And Israel and the United States have done really good with their propaganda to conflate the two. Mm-hmm. So does mainstream media. Oh my God. You listen to any mainstream media, there's barely any coverage about the over 65,000 Palestinians that have been killed, the over 14,000 children and babies that have been bombed in Gaza and Palestine. They rarely talk about that. And so the whole point is with all that is the minute that you start talking about or criticizing the government of Israel, people conflate that with you talking about Jewish people and they're calling you anti-Semitic. And they go back to, well, the Jewish people have been through so much with the Holocaust, which they have. That was one of the most horrendous things in the world, I will repeat. But when you start conflating the two, that's terrible. Like I said in the beginning, like, don't conflate me as an American with my government for their decisions that they made. I don't support that. Yeah. I'm American, but I'm not my government.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense there. No, that does make sense. And thanks for giving a little bit of history on that as well. But to go back, I guess, circling back to your story, coming out speaking with the girl, why do you think she decided to make that statement to you? Why do you think the person, upstairs at both of the bartenders, people that worked there, were willing to say, hey, I've been wanting to say this, however the patrons seem to not
fall into that category?
Yeah.
I don't know if the patrons don't. Maybe patrons do. Maybe patrons do. My buddy called me after I got kicked out an hour later, and he was like, hey, man, I agree with everything that you said. Mm-hmm. I was like, on any other day, I'll stand by you at a protest if you want.
Yeah.
He's like, but that just wasn't the right place or time, and you were my guest.
Right.
I invited you here. Right. And I agreed with him on that part. I said, you're right. I was your guest. I didn't mean to embarrass you. I didn't go there with the intentions of doing that. That was never what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But the conversation landed there, and I said what I said. Mm-hmm. I don't take it back. I get what you're saying. I was your guest, but I don't take it back. Okay. And I was like, and you don't need to invite me there anymore. And quite frankly, I don't want to go back anymore.
Yeah.
But like, we're good. Like, him and I are good. He was like, no, I get that. We're good. And it was no love loss or anything. That's not the right word, but there was no animosity or anything like that. Like, we're still friends. It is what it is. Like I said, because he does agree with me. But again, there's like, you agree with me, but you're scared. Are you scared to get kicked out of Soho House?
Do you feel like? What do you think his appropriate response could have been in that situation?
I don't know, man. That's a good point. And that's actually a very good point, because I was sitting there yelling Free Palestine. Like,
right.
Could it be just a drunk guy yelling something and you're just being disruptive? That's fair. Or it could have just been like, yeah, bro, like, I agree with you. I don't know. I can't tell you how you should respond or shouldn't respond.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm very up in the air about, like, what was the reasoning. But, like, given what, if I would have yelled Free Yayo, would I have gotten kicked out? I don't know. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, given the response from the bartender and the person downstairs, which your question was, why do you think they feel that way? Maybe not the patrons. I think maybe the patrons do. But again, the messages everywhere have been, in this country in particular, and everywhere around the world, has been, if you are Free Palestine, you are supporting terrorism. Because again, now they're conflating
Yep.
Palestinian people with Hamas,
Yes.
who did an awful thing on October 7th.
Which is crazy.
Which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Terrible thing. And that's not, no one's condoning that. I'm certainly not condoning
Maybe
that.
we have the KKK that lives here. Nobody's being like, we'll be like everybody saying Americans are all, because the KKK.
Yeah.
That's how I look at that. Like you're harboring terrorists. Like, come on, look at the organization.
It's crazy. I had this conversation with somebody a couple months ago around the New Year, a buddy of mine who's, we'll say he's conservative. He always tells me, I voted for Obama in 2012. I'm like, all right, bro, but you voted for Trump the next 2 times. Excuse me, sorry.
Maybe he's MAGA then.
I don't think he's MAGA.
Okay.
I just think he genuinely thought like this would be a better thing. Now, we haven't talked about it. My point is we started talking about the Palestine thing, and he's like, no, I get it, dude. He's like, but look, at the end of the day, they voted for Hamas as the government. And when I tell you that shit pushed me over the edge, because I had to break it down to him, I'm like, brother, let me spit some facts for you. Hamas was voted in 2006. There has not been an election since then. They're a corrupt organization.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though, unfortunately, I kind of understand why they came to be. Doesn't mean that their tactics are right. I don't agree with any of that, but you got to understand what it is. Since 1948, the Palestinian people have been oppressed and don't have the same rights as Israelis. That's just the reality. They're second-class citizens. And we all know about that in this country. It's literally Jim Crow in Israel with the Gazans. I'm sorry, with the Palestinians. But in 2006, Hamas was voted in. We're in 2000. Let's call it 2023. In 2023, when all that happened after October 7th with the atrocities of what Hamas did, 76% of Palestinians alive in 2023 weren't eligible to vote in 2006, meaning 76% of the entire population did not vote, couldn't vote.
Yeah.
They weren't of age.
Yeah.
47% of Palestinians weren't even born in 2006. Okay? When Hamas won in 2006, they won 44% of the votes. They didn't even get half the vote. And the next party, I forget what they named, the Houthis, not the Houthis, that's Yemen, but they were something similar like that. They won 41% of the vote.
Yeah, so it wasn't a majority.
It wasn't even a majority. And that was in 2006. So now we're talking about a percentage of people who voted for Hamas in.
Yeah.
And so again, I go back to this analogy. The United States has killed so many people in Iraq and Afghanistan, which was a fake war that we all know now should have never happened. It had to do with oil. Granted, Saddam Hussein was a terrible person, but so are a lot of our presidents here. And we go in there and we fuck up the entire Iraqi government, the entire people, killed innocent civilians. Imagine if a terrorist group in Iraq comes to the United States and starts killing all of us, you and me, and then they go, oh, because you voted for George Bush in 2000. I'm like, first of all, I couldn't even vote in 2000, so no, I didn't. Secondly, I would have never voted for him. So now I deserve to die because now you're saying because I voted for him and his government and his rules and laws killed a lot of people in your country? Like, that don't make sense.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's the argument people try to make sometimes with this whole Hamas freaking, they voted him in, blah, blah. It's like, that's just not simply the case. Like, and even if it was the case, like, I still don't think that you can come here and kill the people who did vote for Bush in 2000. Like, that's still not right. You don't do that.
Right.
And so it's crazy how misinformed people are, how much people rationalize themselves and put themselves in a pretzel. But more importantly, it's crazy how the United States has their grubby hands everywhere because there's an interest in the Middle East.
Now, I could see someone saying, hey, Derek, you're Colombian, you're American. It's easy for you to have that privilege, have that opinion, have that thought, even go into an establishment and, it sucks you got kicked out, but even then be able to say, free Palestine in that moment or, free speech there. What do you say to people like, why do you even care? Like,
because injustice anywhere.
Like, what's it to you?
Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
That's
what
they're
it is
going
to
be
me.
like, well, what about this? And they start hitting you with the what about it.
And then it's just 100. What about what? What about other genocides?
Yeah,
I agree.
Or what about other genocides? Or what about the they're going to say what happened on October in 2023? What they're going to say what happened there?
October 7th. Yeah, and I agree with you.
That?
Like I said, it was terrible. It shouldn't have happened. But there's more history to that behind that too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely. I'm just saying. I can see where people would be like, well, you're Colombian, you're American. You didn't have to. It's not even you. Why do you care? What
but that's a way to deflect from the situation. That's a way to your point. Whataboutism. That's a way to don't pay attention to this over here. Mind your own business type of a thing. And that's how injustice continues to happen all over the world. Like, if we don't stand up for shit that we see happening, like, it's gonna start happening here. It'll be closer to your borders than you think.
Yeah.
If you start allowing it over there because, oh, that's not my problem,
Right.
it's going to get closer and closer to home. Again, go back, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. I think that's what it is. I can't think of the quote.
We'll put it on here.
Yeah. And so, to me, that's what it is. Yeah. And furthermore, to your point, there are other genocides going on in the world that aren't being spoken of.
That is
and I think that's something we should talk about.
Well, we hear about. We've heard about a recent genocide that was going on possibly in South Africa, and how that all even ties in just to the propaganda or the media and kind of what we're fed, and when there's actually real genocides that are going on in the continent of Africa.
Real genocides in the continent of Africa, in the continent of Asia. Myanmar has been conducting a suicide for years. Sudan has gone through multiple iterations. It's been happening for the past 2 years. And mind you, the Sudan genocide, well, I don't want to compare genocides because that's not a zero-sum game. We're not doing that. But like in terms of people that have been displaced and killed, the numbers are incredible.
Why don't you think that's covered?
I'll tell you why it's not covered. Because it's Africa. And because people in the United States don't think it's that big of a deal what happens in Africa. The media doesn't really care. And it's just the reality of it.
We just brought, 50 white farmers?
Yeah, South Africa, right? White people, right? But I think for some reason, well, a couple of things here. And again, this is all just opinion and just ideas. I don't know the reality of it. But for me, there's a huge and there's an investment in Sudan too. Let me be clear, but there's a bigger investment with the Israeli and American allyship. So much so that the Israeli Political Action Committee, American-Israeli Political Action Committee here in the United States controls a lot based off of the money they put in there, particularly corporate news media. So there's money flowing everywhere, and they're forcing medias and people to talk about it. So it's being flooded in your news feed due to that money. There's nothing similar like that for Sudan. There is no Sudan American Political Action Committee here. And so it gets no play. That's just the reality. But to think that America or Western interest, even China, don't have vested interest in what's going on in Sudan and seeing a country in Africa tear itself to shreds, 100%. If you look at the weapons that both sides have, where are they coming from? From China, from the United States. So in 1 second you think, oh no, I care more about the Palestinian genocide because I know America's hands are all over it. And it's true, we are. We're 100% sort of supporting it, but we're actually saying we're supporting it. And Sudan, it's much more quiet. It's much more subtle. It's just funded on the meat. But all those weapons, it's not coming from Sudan.
Right.
All those weapons are coming from the United States, from countries in Europe, from China. They want to see the Sudanese people tear each other apart because there's also resources in Sudan.
Oh, absolutely.
That we want and we always want. It comes down to resources. It comes down to all of that. But that's also why it's not being talked about so much, even though on a scale of people that are being displaced and people that are actually being killed, it's a larger number than it's happened in Palestine. Again, in Gaza, not to compare.
Like you say, it's never comparing.
We're never comparing.
Or just like it's almost like, who had it worse in America? The Native Americans, indigenous people of America.
Right.
Or the or blacks, or any other ethnicity or race that has come through America and has been suppressed.
Yeah.
So that all makes sense there. And I definitely, I'm glad you kind of. I think that was an important topic to have. And it's important to go over, speak about, incidents that we face every day, real life. We spoke about race last week. It's ironic almost to have that incident happen, the day after that episode drops. And it's kind of like, this is real. Like,
this is real.
Things that are happening are real. And to even have that type of reaction here in Austin, Texas, at an establishment for something that's going on halfway across the world that most people that chiming in have never been to. Have no idea, don't understand the culture, don't understand the history, never touch, foot in the Middle East, but have like these strong opinions on it that I know as myself. It's hard for me to say I have a strong opinion on it just because of the things I just mentioned, is because I haven't done the research. I don't know the history. And I don't want to speak out on something that I'm not informed on. However, I do agree with you in your statement saying that Free Palestine should not be an anti-Semitic statement, just on the surface, because I don't think by you saying that statement, you're saying F the other side.
Yeah, not even think. That's not what I'm saying. I would never say that.
Exactly.
That's
But
not
I'm
what
just
this
saying,
is about.
anybody that even uses that, the Free Palestine statement, I don't think that's what that means. So I think that, it's important to have those conversations and kind of talk, utilize this platform that we have here to kind of get that out there. I think the more people speak about it, the better it is.
And, like I said at the beginning, like, I don't have social media anymore. So it's not a platform. I don't have a platform to speak about these things. And so this is the platform. And let me be clear for anyone listening out there. These are just my opinions. This is based off of the research that I have done. I don't claim to be an expert either, but I don't think this idea that you should be an expert on a topic to ever be to be able to weigh in on it, I think is poppycock. Like, you don't need to be an expert to weigh in on certain things unless you're talking about medicinal things or something like that. But like, a genocide is a genocide. Like, you get your eyes. You have your eyes. Like, you don't need to be an expert on genocide to, like, I think that's also a way.
If that's not on your news feed,
yeah,
then
right.
you see it.
Well, no. Well, I know what you mean, and it also comes down to doing some research and completely understand that. But we get silenced into saying, oh, because you brought something up, like, people that have never stepped foot in the Middle East and blah blah, and I don't know, man. Like, there's information out there. And you got to be able to trust the information and do your checks, man. Like, it's hard because people won't do that. And I try to be very cognizant of the information that I do consume. And have I been duped in the past? I'm sure I have.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have. I don't claim to be perfect. I don't claim to be anything. And also, I'm coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not coming from a place of
hatred.
Let's go hurt anyone. Like, nah, it's not what this is about. But, like, at the end of the day, in Gaza, in Sudan, innocent people are being killed, are being kids, children blasted. And the reason why it impacts me so much is because I just put myself in those kids' shoes and just imagine just not knowing why this is happening.
Yep.
Being like bombs blasting over the air, seeing your friends' limbs being blasted off, and just thinking, what did I do to deserve this? Am I not worthy enough to live?
I think it's even scarier to think that, more so, that these kids are growing up in those type of environments, and this is what they're thinking that is normal.
Yeah.
And for us to, the environments that we were raised in as we were kids, and even though we spoke last week on some of the things we grew up with, but we never had to deal with the, being under attack.
Yeah.
And
not to that extent,
and not to that extent. And then, unfortunately, you get numb to things. If that's all you've ever seen, that's all you ever known, that's all you think the world is.
It breaks my heart.
And that's what's the most heartbreaking thing about these types of things, is just the innocent kids that just grow up and they think this is what normal. And it's not. It should not be. It doesn't have to be.
And if you don't think that's going to turn these kids into extremists themselves, when they've seen everything they love gone, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And it's the same idea that I have of black and brown people in this country. When, people point to the crime levels within the black community and within the Latino community, it's like, you don't understand the conditions and the things that these communities see. So when you grow up seeing all that stuff, it does something to you.
Absolutely.
And you start thinking, nobody fucking cares about me.
That's your normal.
This country don't care about me. This is the normal, so this is what I'm going to go out and do.
Yep.
And people can't comprehend that because they live in their own bubble and they don't go do research. And I'm not even saying, like, go put yourself in a dangerous situation. That's not what I'm saying. But, like, have some introspection.
And a lack of empathy.
Yeah, there's no empathy. We have a lack of empathy, and it's wild for me, man.
Which is crazy, considering that we live in a world now where all of the information is right there.
Yeah.
Like, all of it. Yeah. Now, good, bad, true, false, all of it is right there. And I think that, you would think that as we got more information, we would get better at understanding and coming to it'll give us more access to the truth.
Yeah.
And I feel like all this information has done is really cause more confusion, because you have so much of bad information mixed with good information. And now we're getting to a point with AI and made up information that it's hard to decipher what is real and what is fake, what is true and what is false.
It is hard.
And it's
difficult.
very complex.
It gets difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, man, life isn't easy. All I can say is the way I try to live my life is just to try to be as kind as possible. And if I'm going to be as kind as possible, I want to stand up for causes that promote that.
Yeah.
And promote kindness and promote love and call out the bullshit when you call it out, when you see it. I don't know. It's hard. Like there's a lot on my mind. I'm trying to put it all into words. And like I said, I feel like I'm a good conversationalist, but sometimes it's hard when I feel very passionate about things to be able to succinctly summarize it all. But I don't think anything that I'm saying is controversial. And I feel like a lot of it is being told to us that it is. And this feels like the biggest gaslighting moment of my life in terms of what media is telling us, what our government is telling us. Like, it's insane. It's just nuts.
I think for even, like, let me ask you this, growing up in the South, like I say, in small town, I don't recall having a lot of interactions or with the Jewish community. Now, it could have been unbeknownst to me, but I think for the most part where I grew up, most people were predominantly Christians, Southern Baptists.
It's probably not that many Jewish people in Arkansas.
Right. Growing up in the Northeast, though, did you have a lot of experiences with Jewish people?
Not till I got to college.
Is that even PC to say Jewish people?
Yeah, Jewish people.
Okay.
Jewish community, yeah.
Okay.
Not till I got to college. Boston University was a lot of Jewish people. I had a lot of Jewish friends. But like where I grew up in Rhode Island, at least not that I can remember, where there are a lot of Jewish people that I interacted with or that I grew up with. But in college, a ton of Jewish people that I grew up with.
What about, like, since you've gotten to Texas here in, like, corporate America? Because I'm still even just thinking about even working in corporate America. Locally, I would say, I don't feel like I've had a lot of interactions with the Jewish community here locally directly. However, I feel like a lot in the Northeast, that as you start to climb up the ladder, you start to see more of those individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, in Texas, there's in Austin, there just certainly is a big Jewish community here. Yeah, there definitely is a Jewish community here. Now, is it as big as in the Northeast? No, not necessarily. But like I said, to me, Jewish people, we're all people.
And the reason I was bringing it up is that, even like I said, going back to your story, it's being funny that you're in an establishment here in Austin. I won't say funny, but like, I'm almost surprised that statement in an establishment garnered that response.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's eye-opening to know, like, that's where it's at. So I think that's I think that that was one of the things I took away from you telling me the incident. Is like, I'm almost surprised that is what, and I think that just ties back into my ignorance of understanding the influence that the Jewish community has on here in America, and for better or for worse, but just kind of open that up.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. There's a lot of understanding to be had about the interconnectivity and how everything's interwoven in this country. So, that's kind of the situation there. But look, at the end of the day, all love for my Jewish brothers and sisters, all love for my Palestinians and Muslims, my blacks, my whites, my Latinos, my Asians. For us to be trying to tear each other apart because of a religion or because the government's telling you someone else is bad is insane. That's what's happening in this country too. We're being told by the current regime that it's the lesbian, gay, and trans people that are bad. It's the immigrants that are bad. It's the blacks that are bad. It's the woke that is bad. Mm-hmm. When that's not the case at all. They're not the reason why you're struggling. They're not the reasons why you don't have money.
Living wage.
They have nothing to do with that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing to do with that. But that's what people in power tend to do. Mm-hmm. They want to scapegoat a smaller community so that you don't pay attention to them.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's really what's going on all around. That's a tale as old as time, baby.
Yeah. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. I mean, that's the phrase.
Yeah. Power can corrupt.
According to the phrase, it will corrupt.
Yeah.
If you give us a little bit, it will corrupt. And I think that, and Yeah, and I know we've gone a little bit long here. We did have a second topic, but I think I think maybe it's best we call another auto and wrap it up here.
Yeah, yeah. This is a heavy topic, and I'm not even gonna say I hope that landed the right way, because I said what I said, and if anyone took it as anything other than what I said in a negative way, then I'm sorry, but that's a you problem. That's not a me problem, because I know where my heart is, and I'm just calling the truth and speaking how I see it.
Now, if we have any Jewish fans are out there and they want to have a conversation with you, would you be open to even?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
100%,
All right.
100%. Yeah, I always want to.
Do you have questions that you would want to ask them, like, regarding this or anything specific?
Do I have questions? Anything? Nah, because it'd be tough. I think that'd be more of a one-on-one conversation,
Okay.
as opposed to throwing it out there in the whole world. Because to your point, every side has got their own story, and so obviously very curious to see where the story is and how it lands on each side.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, on any side of history, there can be bad people and bad apples in the bunch, right? So
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's not even like it's everyone's an angel on one side and no one's an angel on the other side. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, I don't think it even comes down to even just about good and bad. Or sorry, I don't think it comes down to even to as much about having good people, bad people. It's more so about what's humane and right,
Yeah.
and what's inhumane.
Yeah. One thing that we'll always be as humans is we're always going to have conflict. We're always going to have a difference in beliefs.
Yes.
If everyone thought the exact same way, we'd be in a shitty situation. So by no means am I trying to argue that we all need to believe the same thing. But I think on certain parts and certain sections of life, we should believe the same thing. We should believe that murder, rape is wrong.
Right.
In any circumstance.
Agreed.
A lot of people don't. Not a lot, but some people actually probably don't believe that. Yeah. And so, I get it. We have our differences of religion. We can have our differences of even political views. But like for me, the buck stops when you start dehumanizing people.
Yes.
The buck stops when you start othering people. Yep. The buck stops for me when you start trying to take people's liberties and just the way of life away from them. Yeah. And then people can start splitting hairs and be like, well, you're taking my way of life because you're trying to take my guns. Like, nobody trying to take your guns, man. Like, that's not, what I mean? Then people start splitting hairs about shit like that. And so, and it could be a nuanced conversation.
Always comes back to the guns.
Always comes back to that shit. So, I don't know. This is, like I said, deep conversation, open to comments.
All right, as we tie it up here, now that you had time to reflect on this, what would you say maybe some closing statements would be? Kind of what?
Closing statements for me and what I realized this past week is that I don't want to be scared of speaking my mind.
Which last week's episode, you kind of spoke about an incident that took place where you didn't speak up.
When I didn't speak up.
That was the first thing that I kind of thought of when you kind of was telling me.
Yeah. When I didn't speak up. And so I had said during that incident that I never want that to be the case. I want to be on the right side of history. And I think when all said and done, 15, 20, 25 years from now, I'm going to be on the right side of history. And for some reason, I think deep down in my fiber, I was put on this earth, genuinely, and this is a realization I've had over the past couple of years, to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves, to be the voice for those that are voiceless. Like, that's what I genuinely think that I was put on this earth for. Yeah. And that's what I would love to do out of a career. I just don't know what that looks like right now. But, like, that's what I want to do. Because there's so many people that don't have a voice. There's so many people that are too scared because of the repercussions of them standing up for themselves in some way, shape, or form. And that kills me. That kills me. So, I don't know. It just kind of made me realize that this week after that incident and just being like, you know what? Like, if I get backlash in some way, shape, or form from this episode, then I'm just going to have to take that on the chin and we'll see how it goes. I'll be all right. I'm not. Yeah. I got my cushy home right here.
Mm-hmm. I think
I'll be all right.
I think it's like you said. It's important that you. It's just so funny. Like after the last week's episode, spoke about an incident, And then for this to happen, like right here, it's almost like the universe. We're big into the whole quantum physics and the universe and things like that. So I think it's just funny how the universe kind of has a way of working. It's like just working things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was definitely, I think it was something important to say. I know it's a little bit different than what we normally do here on This Can't Be Adulting, but again, I thought it was important that we have this platform that you be able to speak to something that's authentic that happened to you, and just see, kind of get it out there.
Yeah, I got it out there. Yeah, so I appreciate you pulling the audible and saying let's talk about this, Derek.
I mean, I think this is important. I think this is real.
Yeah, it's definitely real. Like, this can't be adulting. This is part of the trials and tribulations that come with adulting. Like, shit's gonna come up in your life where you're going to be forced to make decisions on: do I do something? Do I say something? How do I do something? How do I say something? Should I do something? Should I say something?
I mean, you're spot on, because I was even just thinking, like, if I was, like I said, I was mentioning that the interest of having a membership there. If I was there and this transpired and you were my guest, how would I feel? And it's interesting.
Yeah,
it is interesting.
And I get that.
I could see how your friend could be like, hey man, this is where I do business and
same
things like that.
No, same. I don't disagree.
But I also see how it's important for you to, like, as a person of color, I would, and this that's been disenfranchised or that's been, oppressed. It took people like you standing up that didn't look like me to help make the changes that I'm able to benefit from today.
Yeah.
And I think it'll always be that when we're talking about human rights.
Yeah.
It's going to take people that don't look like those people that are being oppressed, that aren't the victims. It's going to take people that are warriors outside of that community. So I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, man.
This has been a great episode. We definitely gonna. I would say we can tie it up here and finish up. Did you want to finish up with a fun fact? Did we have a fun fact for today?
I had a fun fact and I already forgot it. You start.
No, I'll do mine, because this one came to me and it was just so funny that I saw this in the news this week that at the Michigan State University extension. So it's not like just Michigan State University, the East Lansing, but it is an extension of Michigan State University. But this week they spoke about they're having a class called, wait for it, Adulting 101.
Love that.
And it just kind of spoke, like, the whole reason why we created this podcast was to speak about, how we've got to this point right here. And, the name This Can't Be Adulting is definitely ties right into what they're speaking of. And this program is called Adulting 101. It allows youth and young adults to gain skills and knowledge of useful information that'll help them be successful in an ever-changing world. And just kind of get into it, just going to teach them things about career, community engagement, money management, education skills, home skills, and more. So this whole reason for this podcast that we created, I feel like it's just something that everybody's kind of feeling at all different ages. And it was just shocking, not shocking. It was surprising and kind of cool to see that, they have a whole program out here now just for Adulting 101, because it's becoming such an issue, I guess you would say.
If you don't want to pay to go to MSU, just come listen to us in this podcast.
Please come listen here first.
Yeah, listen, we'll teach you now. It's not even about teaching. It's about the conversation. But no, I 100% agree with you. Like, the reality is no one's ever taught how to adult. No one's ever taught how to manage money through education, through school.
Things that actually matter.
How do you do your taxes?
Yes.
How do you do little things like that?
Yep.
How do you even socialize? We don't get taught. You know how important of a freaking skill that is? How do you properly socialize?
I mean, we took it for granted. I think because when we talk about this in previous episodes, because of technology, in the past you had to. It was all around community to get anything done on a large scale. Like, without phones, to have any enjoyment in life, you had to get out and socialize. If you're just forced to do that. So nowadays, where you don't have to, where we're not forced, it's becoming a skill now to be an adult.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. Yeah, I'm gonna continue saying that all the time. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So
so the answers won't be here. It'll just be the questions and the statements to follow.
I'm curious to know, can we do that class virtually? Because
Actually, you can.
oh, let's go, baby. Let's go. Need to learn how to
do it virtually. There you go. So and we'll drop. No, I mean drop the links here. But look it up on your own if you want to look at it.
We'll figure
we
it
don't
out.
have any affiliation with Michigan State. So
no, we don't. That's a good one because that falls into it. My fact is or thing that's just mind blowing and interesting to me has nothing to do with any of this adulting stuff. It's going back to science. It's going back to just like a very mind boggling, like very lighthearted and low key. But did you know that? Well, we all know this. When did the dinosaurs die?
Oh gosh,
how long ago?
60,000 maybe.
60,000?
I don't even know. Million.
Yeah, I was like 60,000. 65 million years ago.
There we are at 65 million.
The dinosaurs were killed by an asteroid in Chicxulub. That's the name of the asteroid, Chicxulub. It was about 11 kilometers wide, which is about 6-7 miles
wide.
You
did that in kilometers.
Well, it's because
that's how a lot of science.
A lot of science is in kilometers. That's how I know. And it hit the Yucatan Peninsula and completely killed off all the dinosaurs. Mind you, it wasn't by just the impact. It took years and years after that because there was essentially a winter that happened because of all the ash covered the entire world. Everything closed. All the photosynthesis couldn't happen. Sun couldn't get through the clouds, and things died. And mammals survived because they lived underground, and that's how we were able to become. And we're evolved and live here now. Humans have only been around for 300,000 years.
Okay.
300,000 years. Think about that.
That's crazy.
You know when the first dinosaurs appeared on planet Earth?
No.
230 million years ago. So if you do the math, dinosaurs have been dead for less time than they were even around. Dinosaurs were around for 170 million years before they got offed and before they died.
Yeah.
They were around for 170 million years. So if that asteroid wouldn't have come,
crazy.
Dinosaurs could have probably still been around today.
That's crazy because if you scale that out to like humans, we've been around 300,000 years.
300,000 years, that's it.
What do you think 175 million years would look like?
For humans? I don't know if we're going to be here.
That's fair too.
Like it's just mind-boggling to me, like these times. The time scales are insane that we can't fathom with our puny heads.
No. 10,000 years? I was like, that's a long time
10,000 years a long time ago. 10,000 years, we had just discovered fire. We had just turned into into gatherers, and farming started 12,000 years ago or something like that. We were hunter-gatherers before then, and then we started farming, agriculture in 10,000 years ago. So, yeah, just that shit just blows my mind. Like, humans have only been around 300,000 years ago, and dinosaurs were around for about 170 million years.
Yeah.
And they've only been dead for 65 million.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so let that fact blow your head.
That will definitely, I'll be thinking about that one.
I'll be thinking about that one.
I'm going to do some more research on this and just the finite amount of time that we've been here as humans and our existence. And, you know, if we even get another 700,000 to make it to 1 million years here. Yeah. That's crazy. 700, like, that's unfathomable to think about 700,000 years from now.
Yeah, we humans ain't shit.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to have that for 700,000 years, bro.
Yeah, because we're going to probably ruin it. That's the only thing.
That's all right. We're going to be multi-planet by then.
Well, that's a bold statement if we don't kill ourselves with nukes or with AI.
Don't blame it on the answer. He ain't had nothing to do with this. I'm like,
hey, stop. What is it called? Anthropomorphizing?
Oh, here we go with another word. I'm gonna put the definition on this
it's personifying an inanimate object. And AI is not a person, so let's not call it he or she. Okay. AI is artificial intelligence. That's a conversation for a different day. Yeah. Hey, yo, we appreciate y'all. Herb, good shit, brother.
Yo, great conversation.
Good shit, dog. We out, dog. Peace.
Peace.